Good day. Today I would like to talk to you about the significance of the number 7 and its role in the world, in Judaism, and why it's such an important number. Many of you know that 7 is associated with a lot of things and is a very special number in Judaism. And not only that, but there's a lot of things in the world that are in sets of 7. You have the colors of the rainbow, you have the days of the week, etc., etc. So I'm going to try and do a relatively simple yet complex at the same time explanation as to how the 7 correlates to the 7 lower sefirot, 7 mystical levels, of which there are 10, 3 upper, Chachma, Bina, and Da'at, and 7 lower, which are Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and finally Malchut. And Malchut will be the main one we'll be focusing on, but we'll deal with all of those. To help me demonstrate to you how these work, I'm going to be using a model kit. So here we have a simple hexagon, all of which are equal sides. And you can say that of the 7 lower sefirot, the first 6 of which are represented in this hexagon. That you have sefirot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In other words, you have Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, so on and so forth. And I want to show how you can have a unification that brings these all together. That you have something in the middle which evenly connects all 6 of the sefirot, so that they are not independent of in and of themselves, but that they're tied together. And Malchut, which is the kingship, the kingdom, the ruling, is basically what ties everything together. It's symbolized by the Shabbos, it's symbolized by God, and I will go into that further in a moment. First, I would like to take a look at when we have, I apologize that these do not actually fit together, but I wanted to demonstrate to you as best as I could how they get together. So here we have the sefirot, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and we have Malchut in the middle, which, though it's not staying very well, you can see how it's broken into even segments. And these segments are represented as triangles. Now, a triangle has a very big significance for 2 reasons. One, it is the simplest shape that you can make. It only has 3 sides. You cannot really have a 2-sided figure. I mean, you could have like a round ovaloid type shape, but it would not be a real figure. The simplest figure you could possibly have is 3, and you have 3 of even sides, right? So I'm just going to quit playing with this. That you have a triangle here, a triangle here, a triangle here, here, and here. So you have 6 triangles, right? And you can see that once you incorporate Malchut, you accept the divine sovereignty of all the aspects of life in the physical world, that you have a hint, you have a reference to the 3 aspects of the spiritual world, which are Chachma, Bina, and Da'at, as you can see here. And it's repeated, combining between each set of sefirot, Chachma, Bina, Da'at, and so on and so forth, which connects and hints to the spiritual significance and ties to the physical world, ultimately bring to a total of 10, which is a whole other conversation of itself about the significance of number 10, which I'm not going to get into. Another thing that is particularly interesting is that you have, if you look at it just in a smaller one, you have the triangles bent on the inside. And if you were to have these triangles flipped out, such that you were to take one, flip it over, take another one, flip it over, and basically peel out the inside of this connected six-sided conjoined figure, what we get is another six-sided figure which many of us are familiar with, and that would be the Jewish star. You flip out each of these six triangles and you get a Jewish star. And that's what the Jewish nation is meant to represent, and what we're supposed to symbolize and what we're supposed to be in this world. That we take the kingship, we accept it upon ourselves, and we accept the sovereign ruling of God upon us, that we are commanded to do the mitzvot and to play a positive role in the world. And we can then expand and bring the spiritual level out into a greater whole, which is what's symbolized by the Jewish star. How you have these six sefirot interconnected, but you no longer need that middle one because you have surrounded yourself with spirituality, so you always have God in mind. So now we have to take a look into account of what's known as Shemitah, which is the period once every 7 years where you're not allowed to plow your field and you are not allowed to harvest anything, and so on and so forth. You're not allowed to plant seeds. So we have here a set of 7 years. You have, in this case, I'm representing them simply with a dot in the middle instead of interconnecting them for simplicity purposes. That you have Chesed, Kvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And then you have this Malchut over here, which connects all of them together. So that you have a set of 7 in each individual ring, and these 7 are intertwined together. So you have a 7 of 7, and therefore you have a complete 7, which we know as Malchut Sheba Malchut, which only when you fully accept that every single aspect is intertwined with every other aspect. Chesed should be Yesod, Tiferet, Benetzach, so on and so forth, which we go through every single level of counting with Sefirot Omer. We count 50 days. Which symbolizes we want to go through every aspect and every intertwined combination. This with this, this with this, this with this, and so on and so forth. And how everything is intertwined together, and how everything in the world is really interconnected. And once you've accepted that there is a sovereignty, that God is controlling, that we have a job to do, and that everything is interconnected, then you form a concentric ring of all 7 sets of 7, in which case you form 49. Once you have managed to establish that high level, you're ready to go on to 50, which is known as Yovel. And Yovel, which we translate in English as Jubilee, is a time when the land goes back to its original owners. It's a time of great joy. You're also not allowed to work the land, so on and so forth. That has a lot of significance. And one thing that's interesting about Yovel is you look at the root. The main root of Yovel is Baal. We know Bet Lamed is often referred to, Baal Tashchit, Bli. It means without or lacking. But when you put a Yud in front of that, when you put not only the 10 sefirot, but Yud representing God, you put spirituality, you combine the spiritual and physical entities of the world, and you really manifest them, so that even the most insignificant and even the most terrible things in the world are all part of God's plan, are all part of the way of the world. Therefore, you can turn nothing, you can turn Baal into Yovel, you can turn it into a Jubilee. And that's ultimately the goal that we have in this world. The goal that we have in this world is to take the difficulties that we have to rise up, and we have to face the challenges and difficulties. We have to see God in every aspect of things that we do, whether we're actually able to or not. We have to try. We have to make an effort not only to interconnect every aspect of the world together, but every aspect of ourselves. Now we have to work together for the unity, combined whole, so that Meher B'Yameinu we bring Hashiach. Amen.